There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your podcast host and life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code framework that will enable you to wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. When you're ready for more, head to marcybarker.com and we'll chat about your next goal. All right, let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful people. I'm excited to talk to you today because last week I dropped a bomb on a lot of you when I made a podcast about you're showing up too much. And I always feel like people who show up too much, they should never be condemned for doing too much, because we need people who do too much, because there's a lot of people who don't do enough. But with accountability and with waking up and showing up, it is 100% possible to be too out of balance. And that's what we talked about last week, is that when you're showing up too much, you're actually hurting your ability to wake up and to be aligned first. And today in this episode, I want to talk about the opposite. I want to talk about what happens when you're waking up too much. Now, waking up too much sounds like it's impossible as well, because is there a thing of being too aware or thinking too much? And I will say it totally depends on the way that you describe it. But I'm going to say, yes, it's possible to be waking up too much, because just like showing up hurts your ability to wake up, if you're waking up too much, that hurts your ability to show up accurately. So in the definitions of the accountability code, waking up consists of reflection, humility, and planning. And then showing up is related to implementing, commitment, and feedback. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about when we say you're waking up too much, we're saying you're thinking too much, you're being way too humble, and you're just planning. You're not doing anything. So what does it actually mean to wake up too much? Well, this is related to personal growth. So this is kind of like you read every self-help book, but you never do anything about it. Or you're constantly questioning yourself instead of trusting yourself to take action. Or you might be trying to consume so much information that you forget what the real world is like, or your own situation is like. You're constantly looking for something other than what you have right now, because what you have right now is enough to take action. So the problem with waking up too much is that you can get into these different scenarios. One is analysis paralysis. You've probably heard of that before. That's where people are just thinking and thinking and thinking, and their ability to show up or their ability to take action is paralyzed because they're so in their head about everything. Then there's also the scenario where you just feel like you're never enough. You feel like you're never ready. You feel like you're not perfect enough. You feel like you don't have all the pieces in place. And so that stunts your ability to take action because you just don't believe that every single piece of the puzzle is there yet. Like, could you imagine getting a puzzle and you opening it up and you're like, I'm going to count all these pieces first, instead of just trusting that the puzzle you just got had 300 pieces. Like, that's exhausting and it's draining. So another thing that happens when you're waking up too much is you become physically out of balance. And my grandpa used to say, when your mind is tired, exercise your body. And when your body is tired, exercise your mind. That's a really solid piece of advice. So if you think about I'm waking up too much, you could actually very well become a physically sedentary person where you're not putting into place anything, you're just thinking about it. And usually when I teach people about the accountability code and we go through reflection, humility, and planning, I say, give yourself a pat on the back. You're an expert, but you can do all that by sitting on the couch. Okay. Waking up literally can be done all in one place when you're sitting in a chair, not physically doing anything. So a couple more scenarios, or one more that's pretty important, is that life is a journey. It is a process, and we're never ever going to get to the end perfectly. Like, there's absolutely no way we can just check things off and be like, oh, okay, well, been there, done that. The whole process of being accountable is one that's never ending. So forgetting that life is meant to be lived. It's not meant to just be thought about. It's meant to be experienced and to be processed and to go through a journey. So if you feel like, man, nothing is happening in my life, or I'm spinning my wheels, or just nothing's going to get better, it's like chances are you are just waking up. You're just waking up, and that's all you're doing. You're not implementing, you're not committing to change, and you're not gathering feedback of what your situation is or what it could be if you continued to move forward. So, how do we change this? How do we make sure that we are having a healthy balance between waking up and showing up, and between showing up and waking up? Well, the first thing that you have to do is you have to admit and be honest that it's time to take action. It's time to do something related to all that thinking that you've been doing. So number one, I want you to just give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to start and to take action, even if it's not going to be perfect or if it's not going to be complete right now. I'm not concerned about turning you into a person who shows up way too much. I am concerned about you making the leap from planning into implementing. And remember, implementing is putting into use your desired skills or values. Putting into use, that's not perfecting everything you thought about. That is not what implementing is. So give yourself permission to just start. And you don't have to chase every single thing that you've thought about in waking up. You just got to start with one thing. So celebrate all of the waking up that you have done, and then pick something and get started. So I was actually just on a call today. I ran a facilitated networking call for a community that I'm a coach of. And there was one person who was like, I just put in my whole schedule to ChatGPT because, I feel like nothing's moving the needle and I need a better time management skills. And so she pasted into the chat this whole long daily list that ChatGPT was telling her to do to be productive. And we went into the first couple steps of the accountability code, which is reflection and humility. And we talked about it in a breakout room. And I said, this is only going to work if you're honest. And so we went into the breakout room. It was great. We got out of the breakout room and I said, does anybody want to share their biggest takeaway from reflection and humility? And she was like, Marcy, you kept saying that, we have to be honest about it. And she's like, when you were talking, I realized that I wasn't honest about why I'm not productive. And she's like, let me just be honest right now. She's like, I watch way too much TV. She's like, I know that I don't work enough and I'm watching too much Harry Potter, too much Lord of the Rings, too much Supernatural. And she was like, I need to change that. Hey, my beautiful people. The message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's completely free. All you got to do is take this quick action. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code, Wake Up and Show Up. So it was really good because I told her, I said, that's really good that you recognized how you were waking up and waking up too much. And I said, can I give you a loving kick in the pants? And she said, yes, you can. And I said, well, number one, that whole entire plan that ChatGPT gave to you, throw it away because you're not going to do it. The reason why she's not going to do it is because it's not based on truth. It's based on ChatGPT's limited information that she gave it about why she's not productive. I said, if you're willing to throw it out and start your own plan, that would be great. I said, or be brutally honest with ChatGPT about why you're not being productive, because it just gave you a marathon schedule. It did not give you get up off the couch schedule. And when you are waking up, you're gathering a lot of information, but the damaging part about waking up so much without showing up is that you are literally losing your ability to show up with confidence and to show up with trust. So at the end of this call, it was really good because, I said, let's talk about how you gained clarity. And she was like, honestly, she was like, I'm more confused. She said, because I came on this call and now everybody's telling me different things that I can do. And I said, this is a really good point, because when you're waking up a lot, it tends to be very easy for you to consume information, and regardless of where that information comes from. So this girl was in a place where she was listening to everybody because she was in overconsumption of information. So if this is you and you're waking up a lot, you definitely have to set boundaries on what information you're willing to accept, because your brain, your emotions, your thinking is already packed to the brim. So to let more information in is just going to make taking action even harder. So we talked about, number one, like this person, when she was honest about her situation, she already knew what she needed to do. She needed to stop watching so much TV. She didn't need anybody else to tell her what to do. She already knew, like, turn the TV off and that's it. Or delete the apps on your phone, or tell somebody about your plan so you can follow through with the progress that you made because you gave up so much TV. So it's really important that as you're working to establish balance between waking up and showing up, that you have to set boundaries around more information, more consumption. And sometimes that means turning off the TV. Sometimes it means turning off social media. Sometimes it means leaving Facebook groups that don't serve you anymore, or even just getting rid of books on your shelf that stare at you that you're not doing anything with it. So I want you to know that for me, as somebody who typically shows up way too much, I've had to also recognize what it looks for me when it's too much waking up. And honestly, I'm at a point where my balance is still heavy on showing up. So I'm practicing doing a lot more waking up. And I think that's the beauty of the accountability code and the process of being accountable is like you have to consistently evaluate how you're doing things. You have to consistently evaluate, am I just thinking and not showing up, or am I doing way too much without becoming aligned again? So I want you to know that one of these two podcast episodes, either this week or last week, is really going to resonate with you. And I want you to understand that it's okay. It's okay, no matter which one you are, because you don't have to be out of balance all the time, but we're always going to be in situations where it's like, yeah, like my daughter. One of my daughters is like, I need a dentist appointment. And we're in a new area. We have not established a dentist that we like. We don't have dental insurance. And so there's been a lot of waking up around setting a dentist appointment, and there has been zero showing up. Like, you guys, I still see my dentist in Utah because that's easier for me. It's easier for me. I've been to Utah back so many times. I just set my dentist appointment when I'm there. So even people like me get stuck in this pattern of like, I've been thinking about it. I haven't done anything yet because sometimes it seems overwhelming, or, I need to go and research 6 dentists before I pick one, when it's really like, no, my kids they need a cleanup, a checkup. It really doesn't matter who they go to the longer we put it off. So when it comes to waking up and showing up, do yourself a favor and just be honest about where you're at and take it one step at a time, because the key takeaway here is growth is important. So if you're thinking, like, you planted the seed is planted, girlfriend. So start watering it, give it some sunshine, and watch what happens with the growth. Like, you get to decide if you're going to just keep planting seeds or if you're going to do the work to cultivate the growth from coming out of it. So one thing that I leave you with today is that you're not alone, you're normal, but you also have the power to adjust. You have the power to adapt so that you're more in balance and that follow through becomes even easier and peaceful. So last thing, when this podcast comes out, you guys, we're so close to starting the Accountability Accelerator. I want you to hop on my website, marcybarker.com, look at the Accountability Accelerator and book a call with me, because if you are stuck in waking up, if you're doing a lot of waking up, the accelerator is perfect to get you to take action, because it's time to run with the things that you're thinking about. And chances are, if you're doing over the regular amounts of waking up, it's because the thing that you're thinking about is really important to you and it's time to do something with it. So I want you to definitely contact me, but most importantly, get on the webinar that I'm doing, and you guys can access that by going to marcybarker.com. There's a link right on the front page. So I'm here for you, but I can promise you that there is a happy balance and peace that comes from accurately waking up and showing up within a balance. So I'm here to be your loving kick in the pants, and I can't wait to see you next week. Peace out. Thank you for listening, friends. If you got value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop a review or share this with a friend. Let's be real. Let's spread the word, because we all know someone who could use your loving kick in the pants.